Actually, which has done like the whole landscape explanations. What I want to tell you guys is how this concept starts as my point of view. Like 5 years ago when I started C Studio, I encountered a bunch of users. They are totally open. They are totally, how to say, allow what we are doing, though we are in China. At that time, there was a book about how can we live without China, made in China branded products. And people still think that there are stereotyping, think that Chinese only can make cheap crafts, cloners. But when I start to work with the maker community, I feel that there's a lot of communications, understandings, and a lot of encouragements. That's where we start to work with the global maker community. And I have a saying about the Shanghai, like there are always questions, how do you think about Shanghai? Like I want to use it as that. It's like when you start to learn about writing, the first thing you do is to copy the alphabets. Copy it so many times that you know how to do it right. Then you form these alphabets into words, into sentences. Then you create your own article. You express your own opinions. So I think it's very similar to products. First you learn from other products, you make similar products. Then you have all the skills to make it right. Then you can have your innovations. And I want to say that the controlling the cost is also a way of creation. It's also innovative. Because I have several inventor friends. They disassembled a scooter which has LED inside. And he's totally amazed that they can just control the whole mechanism, the whole structure within 5 RMB. So by starting with all these feelings, we printed on our products, innovated with China instead of made in China. And it's encouragement saying that we can be also part of the whole innovations of makers. Like we can see it from several aspects. Firstly, as the people. We have so many trained engineers in China, and they are not only can accomplish things, and they can also have their own way of doing things. Like you can see from the Maker Carnival, there are so many interesting core components they are making, and it can be shared, and they are obeying all the open source protocols, the maker behaviors. And I think another thing is very important for, especially for hardware, is the supply chain. If you want to make something, it's not you finish the prototype in one place and send it over to random places to get manufactured. The best way to do it is whenever you started in the first place, you talk with the manufacturers, you understand about the manufacturability, you know how to design for manufacture. And you can also learn from all the capabilities, you can learn from all the available components to rethink how I'm going to accomplish the goal. So as for now, we have some supply chains around China which could be a big resource for makers or for other people who wants to do hardware to refer to. And my feeling, especially to Shenzhen, is like the Hollywood for products. You bring an idea there, you can get everything accomplished. And the third thing I think is about the market. Like Nietzsche says, it's a huge population, and the population is improving their lives. Yes, we have rebanned educations, and I'm suffering from that for years. Like we were taught to go from A to B to accomplish certain goals. But I can say that it's taught well, that we have taught how to resolve problems, to have a strong heart, a mindset to overcome difficulties. But also the maker movement has granted an opportunity that the makers can find opportunity to do something different and showcase to other peoples and to get totally open-ended problems. And so they will find out what will be my unique solutions, destinations. So they will end up to be innovative, to be proud, to be confident to do something different. So I think that's enough for my understanding of why we should encourage more about Innovate with China, which is purely made in China. So also we are, how to say, fighting with some stereotypes, and we should be proud to work with the globally community. Thank you.
In 2010, the Shanghai government announced to support the funding for 100 hackerspaces as so-called innovation houses in Shanghai. And many of you might have heard about this. I'm curious to hear from all of you, what does it mean if the government supports a movement, like the Maker movement that is usually thought of, as many of you articulated, as bottom-up, grassroots?
So we always afraid the government will over-support something, like the industrials, which will bring some bad efforts after a huge blossom. But I feel that if it's 100 innovative house, the worst situation, the worst result is that inefficiency. Like the government spend a lot of money, end up not getting there. But it will more or less create an atmosphere that people knows about innovative houses, people knows about 3D printers. And I think it's a process, but I hope in the future the government could do something. Maybe they find a more efficient way, for example, just a dream, that we have so many internet bars all over China. Like the young people spend a lot of time and money going there, playing games, play internet games, chat. What if the government can, how to say, order all the internet bar to have 1 square meters, to place a 3D printer there. So people can, after they done with their games, they can do 3D printer and wondering what I can make. Then they start to learn to draw, say, AD on the internet bar computers and learn to solder a little bit. I think the government could still play a huge role on this, but it cannot so easily be mass-produced like 100 pieces of them. It needs to go with the people growth. Like it needs to grow with the makers. Like how many people should be the right ratio versus one hangar space versus people? It's like 100 of them. So at least we need to have 10,000 makers in Shanghai to fully utilize 100 innovative houses. We will see. It's just a pace, I think.
Thank you. Building on these thoughts, so the Chinese government is not alone in supporting the Maker movement. We've seen this with governments elsewhere, particularly also the US, but also prominent figures in the media and cultures industry, like Chris Anderson, for example, have argued that makers and the Maker movement is the next generation of innovators, and you guys have spoken to that as well. And part of that idea is that the Maker movement is also spearheading a new industrial revolution, and this is particularly how Chris Anderson in his book frames the impact of maker practice and the global maker culture. So if we take this provocation seriously, that making and maker practice is a revolutionary activity, what exactly do you think is revolutionary about it? Do you believe that there is a revolution underway? And where are we in this stage of revolutionary change right now?
I want to answer this question more in the curve, like what kind of stage we are at for the revolution or for the movement. I was just discussing with Emily a few minutes ago about question is how many people are aware of Maker movement, and how many people are care about Maker movement. I think more people are aware of Maker movement because the major media, the social networks are talking more and more about it. But some movement or something is going to be revolutionary should have a huge fundamental of people's interests. So it comes to a matter that how easy it is to become a maker or to participate, and why should I participate? I think in the beginning of internet business, we have new way of accessing internet, but it's very difficult for my grandmother, my grandpa to participate. But now they are using it every day, which the incentive is there, and the accessibility is there. But for the maker movement, okay, why should my grandpa use it? We should find a reason, or wait until the next generation of people with needs coming up. And also, of course, we are keeping lowering the bargaining of the difficulty to become a maker. When the two curves collapse, like people have like the majority of people has demand to become maker, and the tool are easy enough to use, I think the revolution will grow like this way. People really care about maker movement. But now I think it's still in the very early stage. We're still trying to find where are the two curves are.
Yesterday at the panel in the afternoon on the future now and the role of science fiction in DIY maker communities, Paul Dorisch put us this provocation that DIY making and the DIY maker movement could actually be a quite conservative endeavor in terms of repeating existing systems of power and relationships, thinking about who actually gets to participate and hang out in a makerspace or in a hackerspace. It's very often people who come from a fairly privileged background. And so I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this provocation that perhaps maker practice isn't that revolutionary after all, so the flip side of the conversation we just had, but perhaps a conservative undertaking.
So how could we quantize revolution? Like we cannot set some percentage or amount of people to say it's okay, now we can call it a revolution. So I don't want to argue about that, but I see maybe we can say it's going from like everybody wants to work for big factories. Everybody wants to go from a farmer to a worker. Then people has the right, if I want to do some startup, I can go sell some stuff on Taobao, on eBay. Now, I think in the future, maybe we can see that people can also consider to make something themselves. I think that's already give a lot of people more opportunities. Maybe by that time we will come over and later the other people call it a revolution, or not.
We opened it up, since Mitch, you brought it up, and I think Bunny as well. And I'm the only woman here in the panel. Where are the women in the maker movement? And I think Noisebridge might be a little bit of an exception here with like 40%. But yeah, I'll just leave you guys.
So as we define the maker movement, like we traditional ways look at electronics and the mechanics, are very easy to cause some scars. So which naturally driven women's away. I think that's some natural feelings. Okay, I'm a girl. I don't want to involve this. But and the other factor is that we rewind 30 years before, like my parents, like my mom, like in that generation, every Chinese women can knit, like knit sweaters, and I think, and they also every Chinese women knows how to cut plastic bottles like that and make them into a flower basket. And I think that's very maker style. And from that point of view, the makers are ready to rejoin the maker movement much more whenever there is some, how to say inspirations or some fashion involved in me.